Officer Tristan, may I have your badge number?
9275.
Okay. Since I've had multiple, like almost all my rights violated, and the government is depriving me of my constitutional rights all over the place, I wanted to get information on peaceful demonstration and protest. Because, like, I have to go back, like, to the era of the civil rights movement because of the government's corruption. So, am I going to be allowed to do a peaceful protest like Martin Luther King had to do since I don't have rights to try to get my rights back? So I wanted to know my rights with doing protests so I can get my civil rights back. Because the government is so corrupt, they have robbed me of the constitutional right to purchase food and all kind of other chaos. Can you give me the information on how I can do a peaceful protest like Martin Luther King did? So what are my rights with doing protests? Are you guys doing something wrong? You don't want me to know my rights for protest? Like you don't want me to know my rights for anything else? I don't know if Martin Luther King had to suffer this calling the police and, everywhere at church, people around him, family members. It's not a lot that I can see online about protest. So you're acting like a child, like a multitude of people are told to act if they're not conspiring with crimes and setting me up. So let me call another location. You have deprived me of information for years with petty childlike mentality. Okay, let me call another location. That's what they do. They don't want to talk. That's police headquarters. They won't talk. Let me call again. They're committing crimes with my records, threatening my arrest for reporting identity theft. They don't want me to know about a peaceful process. Some people say that I'm posting everything. They know. If they know I'm buying paper towels, they know something's up. So posting it is actually helping because other people will know what's going on. Because they would have saw me arrest me. They already know. So I'm trying to establish my rights before I go out and do these demonstrations in 2022. In a twilight zone, walking amongst everybody else with rights, and I don't have them. So let me try again. Police headquarters. They won't talk to me. These are all the cases, the investigation, the games, records, crimes with records. Okay, let me call another city. Let me just call another city. Okay, my phone is petty. I have Houston police number. Okay, typically it brings up numbers. My phone's being petty and bringing up all these things. This happens all the time. So then they have time to do whatever crime they're committing because I have to look for the number because my phone plays games. So it's supposed to come up like this or a whole bunch of other numbers, but it didn't populate like that. So I'll go ahead and try to call this number.
You have reached the Houston Police non-emergency line.
Okay, I had to call all the way to Houston.
You have reached the Houston Police Department. All call takers are busy at this time. Your call will be answered by the next available call taker
all in Dallas.
in the order.
They do it all over. But in Houston, they're not supposed to have a reason to.
Departamento de Policía de Houston.
This is what my phone states with protests. The First Amendment protects your right to assemble and express your views through protests. However, police and other government officials are allowed to place certain narrow restrictions on the exercise of speech rights. Make sure you're prepared by brushing up on your rights before heading out into the street.
Police Department.
That's what my phone gave me.
All call takers are busy at this time. Your call will be answered by the
So I don't have a lot of rights, constitutional rights, to the extreme of not being able to appear at court, not able to use the emergency call system, not my right to report crimes is stolen, right to not have the government deprive me of paid child support payments, embezzling Social Security funds. I can't request that the government stop stealing from me, even down to the extreme of stealing stolen food stamps in a crisis. Scheming with my bank to deprive me of $2,000 when I was destitute, homeless, that I had in my account. So I don't have the rights to report these extreme events. That's why I have to protest like Martin Luther King. So I'll wait and see what Houston has up. This happens all over the United States. That's why I knew it was something amiss with my phone calls. The government does too. That's why they were there at AT&T guarding it and gave me a criminal trespass. When police kept showing up, they had to entice these businesses, these providers, to commit crimes with them because it incriminated them because they kept showing up. They were there. Who enforces? Why would police enforce phone issues? Then they keep me speaking with scammers that have already defrauded me out of funds. And there's nothing I can do. I don't have rights. And not in addition to that, entice my job to rob me too. This is how long I've been on hold. 6 minutes.
Not
that long, but I've been on hold a long time to not get anything resolved. These people are making a mockery out of the country and getting away with it. And then gaslight, violate me for reporting their extreme mental breakdown and running the government. This behavior shows a threat to national security because these government officials are not mentally stable.
Houston Police Department.
10 minutes.
Okay,
I'm still waiting. So here's the thing. So they get to terrorize me, violate my constitutional rights, and then they're emotionally and sadistic and psychologically abusive in the process. So then when I go these other places, they're not only are they violating me, breaking the law, but they then flip it on me and gaslight and slander me and terrorize me in the process of just simply wanting services. This is abusive. This is psychological abuse. It's deliberate. So then when I go get help, they gaslight me at church and at every different avenue to escape the abuse, slander, and blame me for trying to escape domestic abuse.
Your call will be answered by the next available call taker.
So I can understand, these corrupt businesses and all of that. I can see that. But at church? At church. They were at the Potter's house, waiting at the Potter's house. I saw police at the Potter's house when they deprived me of all help. And then rescheduled an appointment that I had already waited on. Nothing. They didn't give me a pantry. I lived in my car terrified. Then Grand Prairie schemed and took that. A cash car. I paid cash deliberately. So they schemed and took the cash car. And before I tried to get help at Potter's house, they didn't render me anything. No bus pass, no $5, nothing. They didn't even give me referrals to any locations for help. They claimed that they called them and they didn't answer the phone. They claimed they called Genesis, and it just can't be done. It just could not. That's why I was sleeping in the car at the lake. Because no place I went would help me get off the streets. So I went to the lake and I was stopped there. Grand Prairie police saw it, covered for it, and detained me. So did Box Springs, and now they can't find that report. And the report that they have on camera footage that someone sped up while I was crossing the street at a Chinese restaurant. She was caught because she looked directly in my eyes on camera footage and sped up when I was crossing the street to go into the Chinese restaurant. I reported it to the police. They lied and said that I reported someone cut me off.
All call takers are busy.
They have cameras and police cover for it.
Your call will be answered by the next available.
Here's the thing. I called all the way to Austin, and Austin was covering for crimes. I called the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and they were covering for crimes. In fact, I called all over the country, and they were sabotaging assistance, abusive, and covered for crimes. I know this is a bizarre story. Who would believe it? But why were police waiting on me at AT&T and gave me a criminal trespass? They gave me 3 in one day. 3, I could not get my phone service back on.
Your call will be answered.
3, they blacklisted me. I got another phone and they still wouldn't cut it on. They lied and said it was a problem with my phone. I bought another phone and still could not get my services back on. So I just had to go to another provider. They would not restore my services. Okay, this is what abusers do. But have you ever heard of anyone because they don't want you to get your calls. But have you heard of anyone that could go to your provider and tell them, I don't want her to get her calls, and be successful? So where you're forced to get another number? Have you ever heard of that? Okay, I'm still waiting on how. That's why I'm trying to do a peaceful protest. They know I needed the megaphone. That's why he was guarding the megaphones. I hope this one works. I haven't checked it out. The other one I bought at Walmart don't work. The child one they forced me to get that they lied about. The other bigger ones.
The Houston Police Department.
So I have to check and make sure this one works.
Busy at this time.
So they're playing games.
Available call taker in the order
20 minutes just to talk to someone. So all avenues of law enforcement plays games. So let me try something else. Okay, like a multitude of organizations and locations, they force me. This is Black Lives Matter. No one has called me back. Now, what would make an organization that helped with protests and police brutality cover for it? I mean, this is extreme. I mean, a multitude of conspirators. So you mean to tell me Black Lives Matter, whose job delegation is to help people with peaceful demonstration and protest of corrupt government officials, are covering for the government officials when it comes to me? So I just don't understand why they only force you to put information in and you can't call them. So let me try another avenue. So what I expressed is this party would make up fake pages to communicate. So it's odd. That's one of the things I can't talk about. So is this why I get on all these pages and the pages are depriving me of information and numbers and forcing me to not get anything resolved for years? How does someone have access to fake ads, fake pages, scammers? You know, it's curious, robbing someone openly of Social Security benefits, Attorney General paid child support payments, food stamps, children. It's just really suspicious. You go to the FBI, get criminal trespasses at a multitude of locations. FBI is covering for it. So I went to John Wiley Price. They don't want me to have an update with him right before COVID. I told them I'd be back in 2 weeks, and COVID interrupted it. So let me try. I mean, I've been trying a long time just to get information on peaceful protest. Let me try more. Let me keep trying. Okay. Since I stated the issue, I have a number now. So let's try to call that.
National headquarters. Please listen to the following message in its entirety.
That's not Black Lives Matter.
At www.blm.gov. The message will be repeated at the end.
State camping recreation.
Mining right, realty, or to order a map and choose the state to be connected.
It tricked me. I put in Black Lives Matter like what's been going on years. And then that's Bureau of Land Management.
Land patent questions.
Why has my phone played games with me years?
To be connected to the Wild Horse and Burro.
That is not Black Lives Matter.
Or to be connected to the Bureau of Indian
Why would my
Affairs.
phone try to hide critical locations?
5, to be connected for the Freedom of Information
clearly,
Act.
if someone stated
6,
that their phone deprives them of searches, you know,
7,
if someone states my phone deprives me of search results and plays games, they would have to be mentally ill. But right here, it clearly states Black Lives Matter, Texas, and they want me to call land management and are playing games as they've done years. So I'm not paying attention like I've not paid attention years and thought it was Black Lives Matter. But it's the Bureau of Land Management, which spins my wheels and make me waste time like buying paper towels and tissue. So let me try again. Okay. I was able to get Black Lives Matter of Sacramento. I was allowed to get this number. So let's call it.
Voicemail? Leave a message with your reason for calling and a callback number.
They don't return my calls. All locations.
Please keep in mind, Black Lives Matter Sacramento members are not attorneys and cannot give legal advice. Have a powerful day.
So I left a message. They do not call me back. And if they do, they're scammers and play games and sabotage services, and I never get them. Okay, so it allowed me to call the Sacramento. All I want is information on a peaceful protest, as it's like for years. It's just really complicated in getting simple questions answered. So anyway, let me keep trying. Oh, it hung up. It's clearly criminal to keep doing this at vital locations. It hung up again. Can you imagine the amount of terror that one would live in fighting for their life and repetitively experiencing this? So that avenue's closed. Now you see why the police guard my phone. But this happens to be a crime. Okay, moving forward, I'm not allowed to call John Wiley Price, as I wasn't allowed to call the 255th District Court in multiple different locations. I'm fully aware you have to see it to believe it. That's why I record everything. Okay, let's try again. I mean, this is a really rocky start, as it's been years. Let's keep going. Okay, I'm calling the Action Network. They play games and denied services. Let's see what they have today. Our Sharpton Action Network. For months, they deprived me of services and gave me the runaround, if I was actually calling them.
Action Network.
Yes, are you able to give me your name?
I'm sorry?
Are you able to give me your name?
Yes, my name's Culver.
Okay, I've had quite a difficulty. I don't understand why this organization would deny me services. I played games with them, gave them my information. They said an attorney would call me back. They were dishonest. They said that they gave referrals to different government officials for assistance. I'm blacklisted and my civil rights are violated. So I have to start doing a peaceful demonstration like Martin Luther King did to get my rights back, because the government has deprived me of my constitutional rights. So it's not as bad as the slavery movement, but it's like the United States has stolen my rights from me. It's like they're mentally unstable. They even counterfeited calls, robbed me of funds, and nothing's done. Can I give you my information to see why I will be deprived of services all over the United States? Do you have information on a peaceful demonstration, what I would need, avenues I need to take, and my rights during a peaceful demonstration to try to get my rights back?
Your name is Ms. Clark, correct?
Did I tell you my name?
No, you called here before. I looked you up by your phone number in our call log.
Oh, okay.
So, and our crisis team hasn't called you back?
No, they were playing games and slandered me and said, they said they looked at my YouTube channel. Someone called them and tried to get them to deprive me of services that they were already depriving me out of. So what the police department is doing, since they violated my constitutional rights, they're blaming their criminal activity on these YouTube bullies they have on my YouTube, in the YouTube comments. So they have used my own page to escape their abuse, to be sadistic, and use that as a weapon to further steal more rights. So now they're blaming their criminal activity on the YouTubers they have set up on my page, on my channel, and say that the YouTubers are calling them to have these locations deprive me of services. And that's what this gentleman said. But if he looked at my YouTube channel, I don't understand why he wasn't concerned about the chaos that he saw on it, that he was supposed to be helping me with.
Channel.
I'm sorry?
How are they getting access to your YouTube channel?
I'm sorry?
They're posting things on your YouTube channel?
I think that we're kind of deflecting. The thing of it is that I was mistreated by staff and he was depriving me of services. And I've been trying to get, I think it's been since November or December. I'm not quite sure when I started going to correspondence. It may have been early January. And they sabotaged all services.
Who is they?
You said you looked up my name with my number? Because a lot of people premeditate my entrance and my phone calls. Okay, so what did you see when you looked it up?
Your name is here, your phone number, you're from Dallas, Texas. You've had multiple false arrests and believe.
Okay, what have you done? What have you done? When did I make the initial call?
Our colleague left a voice.
When did I make the initial call, sir? When did I make the initial call?
It looks like it was in July.
No, I thought it was before that. I'm pretty sure that it was before July.
I see there's a date, February 10th.
Okay, that's probably more accurate. No, I think I called in January and people wouldn't return my calls. And then something happened. I started keeping a diary inventory of these multitude of parties that wouldn't return my calls. Then it was finally returned in February. But okay, what happened? Because I reached out in February. You have that. It's now October. So what happened?
July 13th, 2022.
You just said you saw it in February?
Left a voicemail.
Okay, they left a voicemail.
Yes. Did you respond to it?
Yes, I responded to all correspondence. So the only thing they did is left a voicemail?
It does. I don't have any other details other than that colleague called you in response to your call and left a voicemail. That's all I have.
Okay, well, can you give me information on a peaceful protest? Because I have no rights. So I'm trying to do a civil rights movement, which Martin Luther King already fought for, but not everyone has constitutional rights.
Speak to our crisis director. Okay, hold on one second.
You don't have that information? Okay, I hope it's not a voicemail, sir. It's almost like these people are covering for all this chaos all over the United States. They lack a lot of compassion and support. They're not surprised.
Hello?
Hello?
Our crisis director's on another call. Do you want to hold?
They're on another call? My luck is just amazing. So do you have any information? What's your job title?
I'm the receptionist, ma'am.
Do you have any information on peaceful protests?
In Texas?
Right.
I can do a Google search and find one, but we're here in New York.
Okay. Well, yes, if I have a right, because what the government keeps doing is they keep criminal trespassing me from any avenue to get help. So since I have criminal trespasses out of corruption, what can I do to protest those locations that give me criminal trespass to enforce criminal activity? So since they're giving me can I stand on the curb? And the police department is playing games they don't want me to know because I keep committing so many crimes. So if they're giving me a criminal trespass to deprive me of my access, do I have the right to stand on the curb without getting arrested?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to know. If I have a right to stand on the curb and then protest these places that commit crimes and criminal trespass me repetitively for cover up. So
yes,
are you still going to deprive me of services like you've already been doing? Can I get help there? Isn't that what you help with? You don't want to help?
I'm going to put a note in here that you've called several times and that you're looking for help.
You were on the line with your supervisor I was holding. He was on a call, like a multitude of locations, so I don't get anything resolved.
Do you want to hold?
Yeah, I'll hold. I've held years. Let's see how this goes. So the DOJ, all these locations, all of them with law enforcement I've left reports to, none of them have called me back. None. So I go to all these extreme locations, and they all play games, and none of them have returned my call. I have went in to do a protection order. They bullied me and forced me to leave with new information, which is a crime.
Thank you for waiting.
So the first time they pushed and shoved me, they don't want to talk about all the chaos I reported. The only thing they want to talk about is the disturbance I was creating by trying to get a protection order. That disturbed them. They weren't comfortable for me reporting their crimes. So in reporting crimes, I'm creating a disturbance. So I'm waiting, as I've been waiting, like he said, ever since February, to get nowhere. They don't even want me to have education on my rights. So going through this, I was able to realize that I'm speaking with scammers on these calls. So they're deliberately trying to sabotage any assistance. The main objective is to convince others that I'm calling the real location and they had any interest of ever helping me when they don't. So since I've been going through this years, it would just be fruitless to hold because they haven't helped since February. Only playing games. So I'll go ahead and hang up. So the only thing out of all these calls is for him to give me information that absolutely I can protest at these locations and stand on the curb. But none of these parties were up in any information as you've seen. Okay, so I'm done. They don't want me to know, and my phone is limited, gives me limited information. You saw that. Now, I'm fully aware, let me hang up, that these reports make me sound mentally ill. That's why I recorded. You saw for yourself that I put in Black Lives Matter and my phone sabotaged those search results and information. Then, after my phone got caught in the act, it put in a Sacramento location for Black Lives Matter that was an instant voicemail, and I could not speak with a live person. Anyway, this is a video diary.